let's move to the California focus problems and look to a Californian who's facing national problems, and that is Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi. She was recently in San Francisco. I spoke with her prior to Tuesday's election about her 25 years in the House and what she sees for the future of California. Well, first I want to start by welcoming you here and then to congratulate you on 25 years of service and getting a street named after you in Golden Gate Park.
Well, I was embarrassed by having the street named because it seemed, so much, and for having the privilege of representing San Francisco in the Congress, and then I get an honor on top of that.
Many changes in that 25 years. 25 years ago, when you first announced you were going to run for Congress, people just couldn't believe it. With the help of another woman, your predecessor, Sala Burton, you made the run, you were successful. Can you compare the mood of the country and those in politics about women as candidates then and now?
Sala was remarkable in that she decided that she wanted me to be in Congress. Now, men do that all the time, but when a woman did that and recommended another woman, people were stunned by it, as was I. I had absolutely no intention of running for Congress. When I got there, there were no more than a couple dozen women out of 435 members. We now have nearly 80 women members. Not enough, but in very strong positions of power in the Congress.
This year is being referred to by some as the year of the woman in politics, but it's also being pegged as a year when there's a war against women or against the issues that women care about. Which is it?
The American people are way ahead of the Congress when it comes to the empowerment and leadership of women. So on the outside, people want more women elected to Congress. The policies of some in the Congress now, whether it's a war or not, are certainly very disrespectful of women, disrespectful of women's ability to know what's best for them in terms of the size and timing of their families, disrespectful of women when we talk about the Violence Against Women Act, disrespectful of women in the workplace, and also disrespectful when we're now talking about pay equity. They say it's a myth. There's no difference in pay for women and men in the workplace, to name a few, differences. But on the outside, people know that the most wholesome thing you can do for the political and governmental process is to elect more women.
You're called leader now. So as a leader, how and what is your strategy going to be to take back the House?
Well, we have a drive for 25. That means that's the number of seats the Democrats need to take back the majority in the House of Representatives. We have fabulous candidates, many of them women. Majority of our challengers to take back the House are women, and we're very, very proud of them. I think women will lead the way. California will be central to this.
You've also, throughout your career, been a leader in fighting for civil rights, gay rights. You're at the forefront of the whole crisis over HIV/AIDS. How do you think the same-sex marriage debate will play out in this coming election?
Younger people, people thinking in a more fair way about our country, don't want to support any form of discrimination, and neither does our president. So to hear a president of the United States come forth in the very personal and lovely way that he did was really a great moment, I think, for our country.
How are your energies as a leader in the House? The impression is by many that the Congress doesn't do very much except have debates over what they disagree on.
Well, I'm very proud of the work that we did in the 4 years that we were in the majority. In the House, the Speaker has awesome power and sets the legislative agenda. And in that time, especially when President Obama was there to sign the bills for ending discrimination in the workplace, to the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, one of the last bills he signed, first and last, ending discrimination now in the military, in between legislation that expanded freedom for our country, made our economy fairer with the legislation for Wall Street reform and consumer protection. Of course, the jewel in the crown for us was health care for all Americans as a right, not a privilege.
Well, the Supreme Court is about to make a key decision in that area. Some charge, though, that you and President Obama wasted political strength by taking on that issue so early in his campaign?
We still believe that it was necessary for the American people, for us to improve quality, lower cost, and expand opportunity to participate in it. We feel we stand with those who put forth Social Security, Medicare, and now health care for all Americans as a right, not a privilege. It creates 4 million jobs. People say, why don't you do jobs instead of health care? No, it creates 4 million jobs. And you know what? It also reduces cost.
You were recently in Afghanistan, where you met with women from all over that region. Did you find similarities between what those women were talking to you about and what you hear here at home?
Every Mother's Day, I visit our troops in the war zone to thank them for keeping our families safe. I also celebrate the leadership of women members in the military who are their moms and grandmothers, believe it or not, who are serving our country to keep us safe. And when I'm there, I visit with the Afghan women as well, whether it's in the provinces or in Kabul or some combination of that. Right now, there's some important decisions being made about Afghanistan and how we leave, when we do, and we will, that we leave the women in a place that has advanced their cause since we went before we went there.
Well, we can't leave this without finding out about your interests of returning to that coveted title within the Congress, Speaker.
It's never been about my being Speaker. It's always been about Democrats having the majority so that we can work in a way that makes the future better, that reignites the American dream, to build ladders of opportunity for people who want to work hard, play by the rules, take responsibility to succeed.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Leader Nancy Pelosi.
Thank you.
Well, Dan, how do you think that the leader, Nancy Pelosi, is going to do with getting those seats from California to help with that magic 25?
I don't think they're going to do as well as they had once hoped. They used to talk about as many as 8 seats in California, about a third of all they needed to pick up control again. And they didn't do particularly well in this week's election. They blew it in a couple of districts, and they would be good to get 3 or 4 seats maybe. That's a long way from 8. And you remember, they need those seats in California because they're losing seats because of growth and the gain in seats in red states like Texas. They need seats out of places like California to get to that. I think it's going to be a very tough row to hoe for her.
And Dan, we're seeing some of the seats right now where the Democrats have to be sweating this out. The McNerney seat, which you mentioned, he didn't come in that much ahead of Ricky Gill. Lois Capps and Abel Maldonado, who's now been pinpointed by the GOP as one of their young guns, somebody they're going to help out. They're going to help Ricky Gill, and they're also going to help Kim Vann, a woman who's running against John Garamendi up near Sacramento. This is going to be areas where they thought maybe some of these seats were safe, and Dan mentioned the seat in Southern California where there isn't even a Democrat running, Gary Miller versus Bob Dutton. That was a real disappointment. And a blow to Nancy Pelosi's drive to 25.
And there's a seat down in the San Joaquin Valley where they didn't get their candidate in, and it looks like that's probably going to wind up in Republican hands as well. So this wasn't a good election for the Democrats in California in terms of getting their congressional ducks in order.
Well, we know there was lots of attention to San Joaquin County this time around. Is it an alert electorate? Can the Democrats expect more boost with the larger turnout?
We'll see. We'll hope the turnout's a lot better in November. There's a record low turnout in this primary, statewide, and especially in San Joaquin County, so we'll see.
Okay. A wish for, maybe you get.